Today, we're looking into something really interesting, the vision behind a specific media project, the Aboriginal Intelligence podcast, or AI podcast. The podcast aims to be a trusted space. It makes you stop and think. In today's world, with so much information flying around, what does it actually mean for a platform to build itself on trust, especially like this?
Yeah, and it's not just a vague idea of trust, is it? The source material is quite clear. It says this trusted space is specifically where Indigenous voices lead the conversation on matters that affect them.
Ah, okay, so that's key.
It really is. It shifts trust from just being, a reliable information to something deeper. It's about reclaiming who gets to tell the story, ensuring trust through genuine representation, making sure the people living these experiences are the ones guiding the discussion. You get the perspective right from the source, really.
Okay, let's dig into that a bit more. The vision mentions three foundational pillars that hold up this trusted space. These aren't just buzzwords, right? They seem to have real meaning for how information gets shared. First one, respect. Now, respect in media. We usually think, okay, fair reporting. But here, for Indigenous voices, does it mean something, deeper? How does that actually show up?
It absolutely goes deeper. Respect in this context means truly valuing Indigenous knowledge, their ways of seeing the world, their lived experiences as the authority on their own realities.
Right.
So it's not just about listening to Indigenous voices. It's a fundamental shift in deciding whose knowledge is primary, whose is considered, the most valid source for their stories. This really bumps up against some traditional ways of doing journalism, where outside views often frame or even question Indigenous perspectives. It's about recognizing a kind of knowledge sovereignty.
Okay, that makes sense. And then pillar number 2, reciprocity, suggests a two-way street, a mutual exchange. But how does that actually function for something like a podcast? Seems like a challenge operationally to make it a truly balanced give and take.
Well, that's where it gets really interesting, actually. Reciprocity here is more than just sharing information out. It suggests a kind of dynamic where sharing the knowledge benefits the community it comes from just as much as it informs you, the listener. For a podcast, maybe that means making sure the platform boosts community projects, or it provides a space for conversations within the community, or even helping build skills in Indigenous media. It's about ensuring the information flow isn't just one-way extraction, but actually contributes back.
Got it. Okay, now the third pillar, Indigenous self-determination. This one feels, potentially transformative for a media platform. How does putting that power, the power of self-determination, into the hands of the community change what we hear? And how does that challenge the way media usually works?
This is really the core shift, I think. Indigenous self-determination means Indigenous communities themselves are the authors, the deciders of their own stories, the rules of engagement, decide what's talked about, how it's framed, and maybe even what isn't for public consumption. For you, the listener, this offers a much more sort of unfiltered view, a direct line to knowledge and insights that haven't been mediated or, interpreted by outsiders. It profoundly shifts who holds the power in storytelling.
So, thinking about our listener, what does understanding this whole vision, respect, reciprocity, self-determination mean for you, especially if you're trying to quickly get up to speed on complex issues from this perspective?
Well, it gives you a really critical lens for looking at information sources, doesn't it? Especially now with so much noise out there. When you recognize the power of centered voices, particularly voices that have historically been pushed to the margins or misunderstood, it completely changes how you engage with information, this specific vision. It provides a direct path to knowledge straight from a unique and vital source, offering insights you often just won't find in, say, mainstream discussions.
Yeah, the impact of building a media platform deliberately on respect, reciprocity, and Indigenous self-determination. It feels pretty significant. It's not just what is said, but really who is saying it and how they get to say it.
And that leaves us with a really important question for you to think about. How does centering the voices and the self-determination of specific communities like this truly change the whole landscape of knowledge sharing? What new things can we learn when we actively look for these kinds of sources? What really stands out to you when you consider this approach to media? Something to mull over.